Today we have a founder who was able to grow his SaaS business to $10,000 a month in recurring revenue. But more impressive than that are the scrappy things he's done to get to that number. I don't want to give away too much, but this includes how he doubled his income in 60 days and how he uses Reddit as an SEO machine to drive traffic directly to his website. These are all ideas that you can use in your own business. I originally started Business Vibe to share stories of how people are taking back their time and their freedom by building successful businesses. If this is something that you're interested in, do me a big favor and hit that subscribe button. I'm still a small channel and it means the absolute world to me, so thank you. There are so many more business interviews to come that you don't want to miss. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
So my name is Leandro. I am from Buenos Aires, Argentina. I studied first electronics in college. Then I moved into software. I realized college was going to make me hate electronics, was going to make me hate software. It was like so slow. So I basically dropped out. I've done freelancing for almost 8 years until I decided to build my own products. Sync to Sheets was the first one that was successful.
What is your business?
Yeah, so Sync to Sheets is a Google Workspace add-on that basically syncs Notion databases with Google Sheets. It started as a quick idea. It took me like 2 weeks to build MVP and it grew. It has been growing from there.
And what inspired you to start?
Well, it was actually funny because I was actually building something else. I was building an integration between Mercado Libre, which is kind of the Amazon from Latin America, and Sheets to basically sync all the sales from Mercado Libre into Google Sheets because I have a couple of friends that they are big sellers in the platform. And at the moment, Notion released their public API. And I said, okay, why if I just use the same code base and the same idea, but instead of syncing sales from Mercado Libre, I could just sync Notion databases, which like the market is bigger and there are great communities where I can just participate and showcase my product. In 2 weeks, I built MVP. Here we are.
So you kind of hit already on like how you built it and what inspired you. Can you give us a little bit more information of the process of developing and launching your product?
I use Reddit a lot, and there is a big Notion subreddit community in there with a lot of users. And yeah, so syncing to Sheets was one of the requests that many people from the community had at the moment. So I had conversations with users from Reddit. I also posted in Facebook, and that gave me an idea of what users were looking for. Mainly because Notion is amazing, it's super powerful, but at that moment it was lacking charts and it was lacking like really powerful formulas to work with the data. So that was also part of the inspiration. And yeah, talking to users, understanding their needs. At first, it was just syncing the data from Notion into Sheets. But then just by talking with customers, I realized they also wanted to send data from Sheets to Notion. And that's when we created additional features, like being able to sync a column from Sheets to Notion, being able to create pages in Notion from Sheets and other things. So yeah, I think talking with customers and users is super important, because you get so many amazing insights and feedback for your products.
And I think you already hit on my next question a little bit, is about like how you validated that idea, and you were talking to your customers, and that what exactly were you asking them, and how were you finding these people on all these platforms that you thought would be good candidates to give you good information and feedback?
Yeah, so my first approach was again go to Reddit and actually search for Google Sheets into the Notion subreddit. That makes things easier because you already have a community that you know are Notion users. You can just go there, check the conversation and see what people is asking for. So that was kind of my first validation. And also like Sheets is a huge product. Like most of the people use spreadsheets, and Notion was kind of a new shiny thing, but still people are doing a lot of things on Sheets and on spreadsheets. So with, just checking the conversations on Reddit, some hunch, I realized that it could potentially be a good solution.
You got your inspiration. You validated your idea. How did you get that first paying customer?
It was a mix between, at the moment, there were a lot of Facebook groups for Notion users, just to ask questions and share new templates and new tools. At that moment, it was easy to post about what you were doing. So when I just started, I was posting in Facebook groups, Reddit, Twitter. I was just posting what I was doing. Something that really worked was just recording short videos of the tool actually doing the job, displaying how you start with a spreadsheet, select a database, and then the data appears in the sheet. So showcasing those magic moments really help at the beginning. That was basically what got me my first users. At first, the application was free. Yeah. So when you just starting building your first SaaS, it's kind of, you're scared of charging. And me coming from a development background, even more. So I started first as free, and then I started like changing the pricing.
And what year was that?
It was 3 years ago, 3.5. I think it was May 2021. That's when Notion released their API. Again, then Notion became super popular. There were a lot of users now trying to sell templates, and those Facebook groups are kind of full of spam right now. It's like, it's difficult to have meaningful conversations. But 3 years ago, it was possible.
Okay. So that you couldn't, if you had to build what you built again, it wouldn't be possible through those means.
Yeah, it could be more like Reddit and Twitter, and not so much Facebook groups.
And so like on Reddit, because Reddit, I think, is its own beast.
Most of the users are anonymous, like names. I use my real name, but most of the users don't. And yeah, but also it's not the good thing about Reddit is that it's not only about posting something in the subreddit, but also to comment. So one of my growing strategies is just, I have some keyword monitors on Reddit based on like Google Sheets, CSV in the Notion subreddit. And every time someone mentions that keyword, those keywords, I get an email. So I just open the post and comment about my product if it makes sense. So if someone is asking, hey, I have this problem, I want to sync to Google Sheets, or I want to do this complex calculation, then I just go into that post, add a comment, and then Reddit is amazing for SEO. So that comment will live forever in there, and people searching for something similar will also see that comment.
That is the coolest thing I've ever heard. And what is there? I imagine that's pretty hard to track, like any type of analytics from that specific thing. Do you have any kind of idea of what that marketing channel does for your business?
Yeah, I could probably check analytics, but quickly I could say that 20% of the traffic comes from Reddit. You can check that in Google Analytics, right, if you want. So basically my traffic is kind of a split between, now Sync to Sheet is an official Notion integration. So there's a lot of good traffic coming from the Notion marketplace of integrations. Then Google Workspace, like the marketplace also as well, because we are listed there. Then is SEO, and then Reddit. Those are kind of the four main channels.
And I'd like to spend a few more minutes on Reddit. When you're commenting on these posts, how are you adding value as opposed to putting something up posting a comment that might be spam, that might be considered spam? How do you really add that value?
Yeah, it's all about like actually solving the user's problem. Like if your product is going to really solve the problem, then you can go and explain everything. You can say, I'm the founder of this tool. It's going to help you with that specific problem you're having. But sometimes when I really know there is also an alternative, I also give the users alternative. So you could say you have this option that is basically manually exporting your Notion database into Sheets, doing the work manually, and then just copy pasting. And then if you want, I'm also the founder of this tool that can do it automatically without you having to do the manual export, and you're saving time. Like you need to be real about your recommendation. And there's also other cases where I don't even mention my tool, and I just add a comment and maybe give another alternative.
That's awesome. And good for you for figuring that out as kind of a channel, because Reddit is definitely its own monster. If anybody even smells like you're trying to sell them hard, I mean, they
know it.
You alive. Yeah. They know it. They're not dumb, and they will eat you alive. Yeah.
You need to be really good at how you, like with comments it's easier, but with posts, because of moderators and everything, you need to be really careful on how you post the content in there. That's why I think videos kind of work, because you can just say, I built just this amazing tool, look how it works, or look how I'm thinking doing this, I just post the video, and there's no links, no names, no anything. So it works.
When you're getting these notifications about these Reddit posts, is that in real time? So like you said, Reddit's really good for SEO. So like when a Reddit post goes up, does that trigger SEO immediately kind of for Google and allow you to post, like to see that?
Yeah, for me, the tool I use right now is F5bot is a tool. It's a tool that is free to use. So it's been online for a while. It's super simple. You just select the subreddit, and then you have like the keywords and modifiers, and they just send you an email. They are probably I don't know if they're using the Great API or just doing web scraping, but you get the notification pretty immediately from when the post is up. But for SEO, it takes a while for that post to be on Google and rank well.
Okay, so it's not the Google keyword.
Exactly.
Trigger.
It's like this tool that tracks the keywords in Reddit, and then it lets you know by email when something is new. Yeah.
That is a great tool, I think, and many people will find a ton of use out of that. Going back to Sync to Sheets and like the validation and the scaling of your business, you talked a little bit about your pricing and your model. How have you had to adjust your pricing and your models as the company has grown? Because a lot of people, they have the SaaS business. And like you said, when you first start out, you're kind of nervous about even charging at all. So what has that looked like, that progression?
Yeah, it was fun because I love pricing. I'm subscribed to a couple of newsletters. It's something that I really like, all the psychology behind pricing. And so I first started as free, which just, I think, was 3 databases, and the sync was happening every 1 hour. Then I said, okay, there's people that want the sync to happen even faster, so let's accommodate that. And then I added 2 additional plans. So I kept the free plan with 3 databases every 60 minutes. And then I added 2 additional plans for more databases in sync and every 15 minutes. So it was quicker sync. That worked. It was working. So I started getting paying customers. It was nice. At first, I was using Gumroad for the subscriptions, but Gumroad wasn't the right tool for a SaaS. So I later transitioned to Paddle, and that's working really well. But the problem I faced, it was, I think, last year, was that I had like really big companies just using the free plan because it was enough for them. Just 1 hour, 3 databases, it was okay. They didn't have to pay. So that's when I realized I needed to make a change. So at that moment, I introduced a new plan. It was the Pro. So 3 plans: Pro, Advanced, and Premium. The Pro plan has 5 databases and the syncs every 1 hour. So the same as it was the free plan. And I completely removed the free plan. No free plan, nothing.
Okay.
Just paid only with 7 days free trial. And that basically doubled the revenue in 2 months, 3 months. It was a big change, and it was probably the best decision I made for the business. But again, you need to look into the data, you need to talk to customers. I was even getting like emails from customers and users saying, man, I could love to pay for your tool, but I just don't have to with your current plans. So that's something and some feedback you really need to take action into.
I think you are about the 3rd or 4th SaaS business owner that I've talked to that's done that same thing. They've switched completely out of the free plan and they have just seen explosive growth.
Yeah, I think for indie hackers and solopreneurs, I think it's best to just don't have free plans. Like you can start with a free plan, maybe at the beginning, if it's getting difficult to get new users. But once you kind of found your product market fit, or at least some niche that you can work with, it's better to just remove the free plan. Because something that was also a benefit from doing that was support. So at that moment, I was getting a lot of customer support requests through chat because there were a lot of free users that were using the product indefinitely, basically. And removing that free plan, remove all the noise as well. So all those free users were not there anymore. If you really wanted to invest in the tool, you need to subscribe to a plan, and then I will give you the best customer support. But if you're a free user, then go find something else.
Before we move to customer acquisition, the growth side of things, do you mind telling us a little bit about your revenue, maybe your current MRR?
Yeah, sure. So right now is kind of okay. Monthly recurring revenue, I was close to 10 just a couple of months ago, but Notion recently released native charts in Notion that were not part of the tool before. And I think that kind of has some charm into the tool, because one of the use cases is basically creating charts based on the Notion data in Sheets. So kind of now the tool is trying to find the balance again, where churn is reduced and then we start growing again. I think it will probably take a couple of additional months. But again, Notion also released forms that were not part of the tool. And there's going to be new users that want to sync those form responses into Sheets. So we will see how things go from a month or 2 from now.
Moving into that customer acquisition and growth, I'd like to hit on what you just said too a little bit soon. Who have you found to be your primary audience, and how did you identify your customer base?
There was a time where that wasn't clear. Or there was a moment when I said, okay, I need to really understand who is using the tool and for what. So what I did is, the only information that we save from the Notion database is the name, the title. So I exported all the databases that were ever sync with the tool, just the names, and then run some, modify the data and work with the data in sheets and divided it in different categories. One of the categories is project management. It's one of the most used categories. So there's databases for roadmaps, tasks, those kind of things. The other one was chart. There were a lot of like candidates pipeline and those kind of things as well. The other one was accounting, anything accounting related, like expenses, invoices. That was the other one. And also one of the mostly used categories is CRMs. So anything related to CRMs was also one of the main ones. And then another thing that I did was contacting all my users in LinkedIn, just searching for their profiles based on the name, and then just contacted them, say, hey, I'm the founder of Sync2Sheets. Thanks for being one of our paying customers. If you ever have any questions or help of anything, you can just reach me out here. And that gave me kind of an idea of who was using the tool, and was mostly C-levels or founders that really needed to kind of work with the data differently. So that was kind of the target. It's usually founders or employees in the operations side of the business.
That is the scrappiest and coolest way that I've heard of really identifying who your target is. Because why did you think that doing that was beneficial? Why did you think that knowing your target audience like that was beneficial? What'd you do with that information?
Yeah, so after doing that, I did a huge not redesign, because the design was exactly the same, but I really changed the wording of my landing page. Better know like the use cases and who was using the tool. Gave me an idea of really how I had to position the tool in terms of keywords and everything. And also for the content, right? Like if you know your target audience or the type of databases they are syncing, then you can work also with your SEO strategy and write content that is related to those cases. So as an example, I have some blog posts about project management templates, CRM templates, and things related to those use cases.
That's so cool. Yeah. So you knowing that user base and your target audience, really identifying them gave you so many options to how to market to them too.
Yeah, and also kind of having that relationship with your customers allows you also to better understand like really the details of how they're using it, what they are building with it, and then use that and be able to publish use cases into your site or case studies as well. And so that's super helpful.
How many people did you reach out to, do you think?
Yeah, I have been doing that. Basically, I started with all the customers. I don't know, there's a lot, probably more than 500.
You've talked a lot about this. You've talked about your split for how you've driven traffic to the website, and you've talked about Reddit. You've talked about a lot of different marketing channels. What strategies have been most effective in acquiring and retaining customers?
Yeah, I think Reddit and SEO, those are kind of the main ones. I have been doing the Reddit comments for like 3 years. And if you just go to Reddit and search for sync2sheets.com, and you will see all the posts that appear as a result. So that's me working for more than 3 years adding comments. And one thing on the side is you can also search for past conversations and just add comments in there as well. Then, listing your tool in different marketplaces as well. So I did the product hunt launch. That was position number 10 was during that time. That gives you like a nice spike of traffic. Sometimes it doesn't translate into customers, but at least it gets you some traffic and links to other places. I also posted on Hacker News as well. I got in the front page. Also, a lot of traffic doesn't turn into customers, but again, it works because there are some other websites that kind of link to things that happen on Hacker News, and then you get backlinks to your site. And so that's also super helpful. And then, the long-term strategy is always SEO, right? Building and writing good content into your site is what's going to give you the long-term benefit.
How do you handle customer feedback, and how is it influenced as you've developed your product?
Yeah, I have basically that's one of the reasons why I keep the chat in the subsite. A lot of people that say don't put chat, there is like a lot of support requests, you're going to be interrupted all the time. But for me, at least, it really helped with the customer feedback and also for retention, right? Because if someone has a problem and you are there to fix it quickly, then it gives you great customer support is amazing. And you can tell by the reviews, right? If you enter in the Google Workspace Marketplace and you see our reviews, you will see what one of the things that they always mention is great customer support. So yeah, chat, having a lot of conversations, then trying to see if what the user is asking really goes into your idea of the product, because sometimes they ask for a future request that doesn't go with your vision of the product, and then you need to be careful with that. But most of the time I try to implement it as soon as possible.
And so the big scary word churn, like that, can make and break lots of different SaaS companies. What strategies do you use to reduce your churn?
So for churn, well, connecting on LinkedIn is one of the things, like knowing they can reach out the founder at any time for help or for anything they want is good. We send emails about use cases, new blog posts, and things for them to get value out of the tool, how to use different features and what they can do with it. Apart from that, you need to have like a great application, a great SaaS, not bugs, make it work really well. And then, not much you can do from that side. Like in this case, it's a really niche application. There's not like a huge number of use cases. And it's also one application that you configure and then it's going to just work in the background. So for me, the best thing that can happen is that they don't need to open the application at all and that the data is just sync and well in Sheets.
Almost going back to like marketing a little bit, are there any, and like you've talked so much about so many different marketing channels, are there any key partnerships or collaborations that you've used to grow your product?
Yeah, I haven't done any partnerships yet. It's something that I have in my mind and in the roadmap. And there are different ways that I can go for it. One is doing partnerships with template creators. There's a lot of template creators, and then they create templates related to project management, CRM, finances. One thing is basically adding sync to Sheets as an add-on or as part of the template if you want to get additional value. I haven't done affiliates yet, but it's something I have in my mind as well, just doing a revenue share. Usually the number is between 20 and 40%, depending on the partnership. And something I have been thinking as well is trying to find someone on TikTok that post about Notion or productivity in general and see if we can do some kind of arrangement and test if something could work there. But I think all those channels, you really need to test things out and you really need to find the users that can promote your tool and that they need to use the tool as well. Like it's going to be difficult to get someone to promote your tool if they are not using it. So that's kind of the problem as well.
Those are, I think, some really good ideas to gain some more traction and add to it. Yeah, I like that. So I'm going to ask a question to help give some context. Are you kind of a team of one? Do you have contractors, any full-time people?
Yeah, so team of one right now. I have a contractor for writing blog posts. At the beginning, I was doing it myself, but I realized I really don't like it. English is not my first language, so it was also difficult for me to kind of translate my ideas into English for a blog post. So and I was also like procrastinating it all the time. Like I needed to do a blog post, and I was like doing a million other things instead of just doing it. So I found someone that's really good. We have been working together for already, I think, 3-4 months, and it's been great. So finding the right contractors that can help you are key in my opinion. Because again, it's not only that you don't like to do the task, is that you are postponing it and doing other things that don't add value just because you don't want to do that specific thing. So finding contractors is a good cheat. But apart from that, just myself. It's really not taking a lot of time right now because again, support is just maybe 3-4 emails per day, a couple of chats, but the product is pretty stable, no big bugs and no big features in the roadmap, unless Notion releases new APIs that can be integrated.
My next question, I'm really excited to ask you because you said you kind of have everything streamlined now, but I'm sure it wasn't maybe always that way. And so like when, you're building a SaaS, it can obviously be technically demanding. Maybe this is a question for your earlier days when you didn't have everything so figured out. How did you balance that product development with that customer acquisition?
I like to think about spikes of development. So at first, of course, while you're doing the MVP, is full development. You are coding all the time. So for me, it was 2 full weeks and probably a month after until kind of finding a product that I was okay with. Then you go to marketing 1 week, then you go back to development a couple, then marketing again. But it really took me a while, for me at least, to kind of take out the developer hat and put the marketing hat. I was too focused on the product. And I really, it's not that I don't like marketing, but sometimes you don't get the results back super quick. So sometimes you need to be patient. And so that's why it took me a while to kind of be able to make the transition. But yeah, it was spike of developments and then some time for marketing, then development again. Of course, at the beginning was full development, then half and half. And now it's more marketing and just operations, support, and those kind of things. That again, I would love to kind of outsource all the support and everything, but it's difficult because it's really like this, the time is really small, and finding someone for just an hour spread across the entire day is hard.
This question, I think, is more difficult for someone in your position who wears all hats. So, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What does a typical day for you look like? And again, I say typical day, but you wear all the hats. So I'm sure every day is a little different.
Every day is different. So for myself, I usually wake up at 7 a.m. It depends if my baby wants to sleep more or less. For example, today was at 6 a.m., but it's usually between 6:30 and 7:30. We start the day by just go downstairs, play a little bit. I am from Argentina, so I drink a lot of mate. So what we do is my kid is there playing, I'm playing with him and drinking some mate at the same time. Breakfast, and then I go to work. So I have here my office with the computer and everything. And right now it's kind of a mix. I usually check emails, see if there is any support requests. And then if there's nothing related to Sync to Sheets or something else about my side projects. Right now I'm kind of leaning into AI. So trying to build new stuff. And I have been playing a lot with Cursor AI and a couple of things that I'm super excited about. So right now I am at the moment of trying to find a new idea and work in something new. We'll see how it goes. Then lunch, then work again, and I do calisthenics for training. So I usually in the afternoon I go for calisthenics to the gym.
Awesome. So it sounds to me like you have a really good, almost work-life balance to where you have some family time, but you're able to get your fitness and you're able to work on your business and grow it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I use the mornings for my kid, and then you have the rest of the day and to keep working.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Looking at kind of tool stack, what tools, technologies, software do you really need to manage your business?
Well, the main ones are Notion. Of course, I use Notion for tracking the roadmap, task, feedback, and everything. Then I also use Coda. Coda is similar to Notion, but in my case, it allows me to get information from other APIs into a document and then kind of run some analytics and have like a small dashboard with information. So I use Coda as well. Then for payment processor payments, I use Paddle. I mentioned it before. It was really good. Documentation is great. I haven't had any issues with it. Points for Paddle. Then I use SendGrid for emails. So what I have is I have created an automation flow. When a user installs the add-on, they get an email. Then they get an email a couple of days later with additional information. Couple of days later with additional information, kind of a drip. And then also for sending the emails related to transactions, if there is an error in the sync, if there is something new that happened that they need to know. So SendGrid has been working great. I use Tidio for chat in the landing page. And in terms of programming, I host everything in Firebase and Google Cloud. It's difficult because it's not a web application. Workspace add-on, so it works in a different environment. So there's no web technologies working in there, but then the backend is in Node.js and TypeScript.
So toward the end of the interview and more of your personal insights, what were some lessons that you learned along the way that you wish you knew when you were starting out?
Yeah, first one, I think, don't be afraid to charge and try to charge as soon as possible for your products. And again, don't fall, because I have fallen in the trap as well to say, okay, let's go free, because that way it's easier to get users and get feedback. But maybe free is the only user type you're gonna get. But if you charge from the start, then you are not getting users, then you don't waste time. So that's important, I think. Even if it hurts your ego, starting and charging from the beginning, I think can save you a lot of time. Don't go B2C. Don't go as an indie hacker or solopreneur. Don't go B2C. That's not a route you want to take. Again, it requires a lot of marketing efforts, budgets. It's hard to charge money to people that use tools for personal usage. So avoid B2C. I tried to build a couple of applications there and it didn't work. And then one that I really like and have been kind of writing every day is don't negotiate with yourself. Try to set your task and what you have to do beforehand. If you can plan for your week, if you can plan for the day before, because once you are in the computer, there's so many distractions and things that you want to do instead of working. So it's important that you set your boundaries and your slots of times for working.
There are so many good lessons in there. And that's something I've never thought about is, don't be afraid to charge in the sense that it's helping you validate your idea.
It doesn't have to be like super expensive, but just charge something, because that way you're going to understand that people is willing to pay. Even $5 is different than zero. So even $5 can help you understand if the user is willing to put the credit card details, to subscribe, to be ready to pay monthly for something. If you go free, it happened to me I have another tool that is called Quiction, that is for saving emails into Notion. And then I started as a free tool, and there were a lot of users using it all the time. But then when I went from free to charging, then that number of users got reduced by like a lot. And there were people like literally using the tool every day that were not willing to pay $8 a month to use the tool. So when you see that way, you say, don't go free. Just start charging from the beginning.
That is so interesting. And I've never thought about that, but it really is a way of validating it. I'd like to go back to something that you had just said about the difference of B2B to B2C. B2B, what are you doing to kind of focus on B2B? And I think you talked about it a little bit, you're on these people's LinkedIns, you've identified your user base as a lot of business professionals.
It depends on the tool you build, right? So in my case, yes, the tool can be used personally. For example, if you track expenses in Notion, the tool may be useful for you, but you're not like the mentality that the person has while using something for personal usage versus for business is completely different. Like sometimes the person is kind of, I just want to get this done quickly without spending money, while the business person is, I want to get this done ASAP as soon as possible. And if I have to pay $20 per month to get it done and don't waste any more time, it could be amazing. So that's why you want to focus on the B2B if you are a solopreneur. Like again, if you're a big company, maybe you can go the B2C route, but B2B is easier for us. Again, you can find a super niche use case that if you solve it really well, you can charge for it.
There's a question I always like to ask people to kind of see, a story of how you got to where you are. And that is, what was your childhood like? Did you always want to be an entrepreneur?
Actually, I didn't say it, but when I started to learn programming, it was actually because I wanted to build my own products. So I didn't know how to program anything. Like I remember doing even the most basic stuff to learn, like what was a server, how the client communication worked. So it was fun. And that was my motivation. Like I spent the entire year learning how to program just to build my own products. And actually I first tried to build my own products at the beginning. It didn't work. And then life got in the way. I've been freelancing and it took me a while to go back to my original idea and dream. But I think it's important to find the reason why you're doing something, mostly if you're learning something, right? Because I think it's much better to learn something via motivation because you want to accomplish something than to learn just for the sake of learning.
You just said, I think a lot of people put it a different way, and you just put it like the best way I've heard. People say, find something that you love, find something that you're interested in. And I think you put that in a better way of, that's a way that motivation that you'll find from that will push you further than anything.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Are there any books, resources, personal habits that you'd recommend to those building and wanting to scale a business?
Yes, I haven't been reading a lot the last couple of years because I got my first son. So I'm still trying to find the balance. But Rework is one book that I really like from the founders of Basecamp. They are amazing. The way they have of running a business, they're kind of my role model as an entrepreneur. So Rework and all the books that they have been releasing over the past 5 years are really good. And I also subscribe to Daily Dad and Daily Stoic from Ryan Holiday. And I have read a couple of his books. And it's amazing because it gives you kind of a good philosophical mindset for all the challenges that you have to face both as a parent and as an entrepreneur. The Power of Habits is a book that I read at my beginnings. It really helped me kind of understanding my triggers, how I can plan my day for success. What else? anything about Taleb, I also love Taleb. So yeah, his books are amazing.
Basecamp, that's Jason Fried, isn't it? I've subscribed to his newsletter and read tons of his copywriting stuff. That guy is amazing writer. Like he is so good at storytelling and getting you to finding his soul client base through writing. Like it's beautiful what he does. What advice would you give to somebody looking to start their own business?
Just start. Because once you start doing something, once you put your hands dirty, then new insights and things are going to happen that you were not planning for. You're going to get feedback that you couldn't get any other way if you don't put something in front of a customer. So just build, do stuff, put what you build in front of people, and then you will see how you will start moving forward. But yeah, don't wait. Start right now.
Where can people find more about you and your business?
Yeah, so you can follow me on X. It's Lean Subreski, and then same on LinkedIn, Leandro Subreski. You can find me there. I don't have a newsletter, but it's something that I have been planning to start, so maybe something for the future.
Awesome. Leandro, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. So many beautiful insights. I can't wait to share this.
Thank you so much, Corey. It was super fun, and I hope everyone listening in can get some amazing insights.